x plus 12 divided by 4 is greater than x minus 16 divided by 3. And we are given two quantities to compare. Quantity A is the maximum value of x plus 100, and quantity B is the maximum value of 2 times x. And this is a quantitative comparison type question where we are given 4 choices that describe the potential relationship between quantity A and quantity B, and we have to pick the correct choice. So this is an inequalities problem. So we start with writing the inequality that we're given. And for most part, an inequality can be treated like an equation. The only point of attention that you have to pay is if you are multiplying both sides of an inequality by a negative number, then the sign of the inequality will change. So greater than will become less than, or less than will become greater than. But other than that, you can almost treat this like an equation. So in this case, just to get rid of those denominators so that things become a little bit easier, we basically multiply by 12, which is kind of the least common multiple of the denominators 4 and 3. So when we do that, on the left-hand side of the inequality, we get 3x plus 36, and on the right-hand side, we get 4x minus 64. And since 12 is a positive quantity, so our inequality is preserved, right? Now we can, bring over the terms. So the x is on one side of the equation, and then you bring over negative 64 from the right-hand side to the left-hand side, so that becomes positive 64. So this is what we are left with, right? 64 plus 36 is greater than 4x minus 3x. And this becomes 100 greater than x. And we can write this as x is less than 100. So now, if I try to replicate the quantity A, so I basically add 100 to both sides of the inequality, and I get x plus 100 is less than 200. And if I want to replicate quantity B, I basically multiply both sides by 2, and I get 2x is less than 200. So this is where we need to pay a little bit attention, because what we are given as an inequality is what we have as an inequality in this case is less than, and it's not less than or equal to, because the result would be different if it were a less than equal to versus what it is currently, which is less than. Because if it were less than equal to, then it's just simple to see that the maximum value that x plus 100 could have taken was 200, and the same for 2x, and then your answer would have been that the two quantities are equal. But here, the inequality that we have, it's not less than or equal to. This is less than, right? So to help, compare the two quantities, we'll start with an assumption that the maximum value of x is 100 minus some quantity delta. And delta could be a very small quantity, but it has to be a positive quantity, because we know that x is less than 100. It's not less than equal to 100, right? So the maximum value of x, you can assume, will be 100 minus delta, where delta might be small, like I said, but delta has to be positive. So if this is the maximum value of x, then the maximum value of x plus 100 would be simply you add 100 to 100 minus delta and you get 200 minus delta, right? And what will be the maximum value of 2x? Well, that will be 2 times the maximum value of x, right? And the maximum value of x is 100 minus delta. So if we do 2 times that, we basically get 200 minus 2 times delta. And now we have to basically compare between these quantities, right? So I have boxed them out. So the quantities in red box. So on one hand, I have 200 minus delta, and on the other hand, I have 200 minus 2 times delta. So delta, remember, it's a positive quantity. So from this, it's pretty clear that the max value of x plus 100 is going to be greater, because the max value of 2x is basically you're subtracting 2 times a positive quantity delta from 200, whereas for the maximum value of x plus 100, you are subtracting just the quantity delta, right, from 200. So if you subtract a greater amount of positive quantity from the same number 200, you are likely going to end up with a lesser value, right? So 2x, the maximum possible value of 2x, is definitely going to be less than what the maximum value of x plus 100 is going to be. So the correct choice in this particular question will be quantity A. So quantity A is going to be the greater one. And instead of delta, you could have picked a very small value, like whatever 0.1 or 0.0001, just to verify. But this is kind of a complete mathematical way, a very generic way of arriving at the conclusion that quantity A would be greater.